What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So I will be making schedule predictions for every single Power 5 team in college football this upcoming season. I'm also going to do a subsequent conference standings video once I finish every team in a specific conference, just as a synopsis of all of my schedule predictions for that individual conference. Those videos, those conference recaps will be coming later on in August as we get closer to the start of the season. I have to get through all of the individual teams first. Wrapping up the ACC soon. I've already done the SEC, and then we're going to keep on moving right after that. So let's go ahead and get into the Virginia Tech schedule predictions. So some quick thoughts on the Virginia Tech program headed into 2022. And this is another very interesting program to me. They have a year one head coach in Brent Pry, and I really like him as a fit here for Virginia Tech. They have a very talented roster. They can be very good this upcoming season if things go their way. They're not going to be good enough to win the conference by any means, but still a very good roster with lots of potential on it. Certainly good enough to be bowl eligible. And this can definitely, they can really build on this going forward as well. I have high expectations for Virginia Tech under Pry, especially, like I said, if he can get that recruiting rolling in-state, particularly around the D.C. area. There's a lot of talent to be had there that Virginia Tech has historically kind of been missing on. If he can get a couple of those guys to stay home, you build on that with an already pretty good roster, put together a couple 7-8 win seasons, and all of a sudden it's a program that could be looking up. And really the program has historically been pretty middling. Every now and then they have a really good year, but overall they average right around that 6 to 8, maybe 9 win range. And I think that Pry could really take that next step for them, but only time will tell on that. I think right now they're probably in that same middling level range, but give Pry a couple years and you could see him maybe take a next step going forward. So let's go ahead and look at some games that aren't going to be worth talking too much about because the opponents just don't have much of a chance of winning, barring something catastrophic. And those games are Old Dominion, Wofford, and Liberty. None of those teams have a great shot at competing with Virginia Tech. Maybe Liberty, but realistically still that's not going to be much of a game. So the first game we're going to talk about is Week 2 against Boston College, and they get Boston College at home at night, and I think that is a huge advantage there because Lane Stadium is incredibly tough to play in, late at night in particular. And while I think Boston College is of a comparable talent level to Virginia Tech, I think Virginia Tech is slightly better than Boston College. Them being at home, I think, makes this one almost a sure win, and I think they get a big win there against Boston College in Week 2, which will really help propel them going forward. Then in Week 4, on a Thursday night, they play West Virginia, and it is again at home for them. And if this one was not at home, I would definitely take West Virginia. But with it being at home, West Virginia has a lot of moving pieces right now as well. I like Virginia Tech here. I think the teams are about as even as you can get, honestly, roster-wise. I know JT Daniels at West Virginia is probably going to put up some good numbers, but I think being at home, it's kind of a weird time slot on a Thursday as well, but I think being at home at night is going to be the difference here in the game for Virginia Tech. The teams are basically a push to me. It could really go either way. I expect it to be a very close, very interesting game, one I'm really excited to see how it pans out. But I'm going to go with Virginia Tech there in Week 4 over West Virginia. Week 5, they are at North Carolina, and this is one where I just think they're not quite ready yet to take on a North Carolina. I think North Carolina has a better roster at this point, and I think Mack Brown is a very proven head coach in his career. He's been at North Carolina for a while. He has his guys. I know they kind of had a down year last year, but I think they're really going to right the ship this year. I think North Carolina gets a win. Now, it's one that Virginia Tech is going to be very competitive in. It is not going to be a pushover. I'm really interested to see how it pans out. But being on the road for it as well, I just think it's too early for this Virginia Tech team to be able to take on that challenge. I'm going to go with North Carolina getting the win in that one. Week after that, they go on the road against Pitt, and it's a very similar story where I think Pitt is just slightly better than them, but not better by a wide margin. A game that Virginia Tech has a really good shot in, but they are on the road, and Pitt returns one of the best defenses in the country from last year. They return everybody on it, and so that's a really tough ask of them. I think Pitt's going to be very good this year. I think they're going to be about the same as Virginia Tech, but I think in this particular matchup, being on the road here, and again, year one as a head coach, things can get kind of dicey, especially in some of these road situations against really good teams where you don't have a clear edge in anywhere. It can get really hard to manage a lot of that, and so I'm gonna go with Pitt Another one, like I said, though, could be very close. Gonna go down to the wire. I think could very well go either way. I'm gonna side with Pitt. Definitely a winnable game for Virginia Tech, though. Follow that up with Miami, and they get Miami at home, and this is one that could really circle on your calendar. Could make for a really good win, a nice win to help boost your end of season, when you look back on the year. That could be one that if you get the upset there, it would be really nice to circle. But I do think that Miami is slightly better than them at this point. I like a lot of what Mario Cristobal is doing down there. I think that they're going to be favored in this game. I think they should be favored in this game. They certainly have the better quarterback. I think that quarterback edge is going to make the difference here. It is another home game for Virginia Tech, and so that's where Virginia Tech's edge would come in. But I think Miami slightly better with the better quarterback. I'm going to take them to also beat Virginia Tech here. Another very close game. Could go either way. They got a lot of those on the schedule that are really close toss-up games that could end up going either way when it's all said and done. They follow that up with at NC State on a Thursday night. Now, they get a bye week before, but I think NC State is one of the best teams in the conference, if not the best team in the conference. Playing them on the road here, very tough ask. Now, it's one that is going to, again, very close. Virginia Tech is not as good as NC State, but it's not by too wide of a margin. It's a game that they could very well compete in, or they will compete in. They could very well win. But I'm going to go with NC State here. I think they're just a better team than Virginia Tech across the board at this point. I like their quarterback play a lot. I love their coaching staff. And I think NC State's going to be a very, very good team. There's no shame in losing them on the road, especially with a year-one head coach. They follow that up. They go back home against Georgia Tech. And this is one where I think you finally start to see the schedule get a little bit easier. And Georgia Tech, they're not a terrible team by any means, but they're not as good as Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech probably wins this game by 2 or 3 scores, and I think it'll be a nice, dip in competition for them from the NC States and the Miamis and the Pitts and stuff like that of the world. I think Georgia Tech is just not really in that same category. Should be a nice win for Virginia Tech. Week after that, they go at Duke, and it's really the same story. It's just on the road. I think Duke is a little bit worse even than Georgia Tech. I think Duke probably is going to fight pretty hard here early on, but I don't think they're going to be able to hang in the game long term. I think Virginia Tech is just noticeably better. And another one where it'll be nice to get a little dip in competition, where you have a real talent edge and you can finally start to flex your muscle a little bit. I think Virginia Tech gets a pretty easy win there. And then they end the season with Virginia at home, and this is one that I think is very even as well. I think Virginia Tech is slightly better than Virginia, but it's very close. They're both with year-one head coaches. But again, this one is at home for Virginia Tech. They get a lot of their crucial games at home, and this one being at home I think makes a huge difference. You give them a slight roster edge already, and they're at home here. I think I'm going to go with Virginia Tech to win this one by probably just 1 score, to be honest. It's going to be really close. It's a rivalry game, ends the year. Year-one head coaches, very evenly matched teams. It's going to be really exciting to see how it plays out. But I'm going to say Virginia Tech gets the win there to cap off their season. And that would make Virginia Tech 8-4 on the year, which I think is a really good season, all things considered. It isn't going to win them the conference, but I don't think that's the current expectation around the program, and I don't think it should be the expectation yet. In my opinion, an 8-win season for Virginia Tech is a solid season. It's not a great season, but it's definitely satisfactory. And this could end up as a 9 or 10-win season as well, but it could also very well end up in that 6 or 7-win season range too. So I'm going to kind of split that difference at 8-4. I think that is a good, mark for them. It assumes that things don't go perfect, but it also assumes they don't go horribly wrong either. In an 8-4 year and a year one under your head coach, that's a really good season. I think the home field advantage is going to play a huge role for them this season. They have a lot of swing games that could go either way, and they get a lot of them at home. And I think it's going to be a huge advantage for them. And I think it could really make that difference between a 6-6 year and an 8-4 year. Anyway, though, that's going to do it for this one. Let me know down below in the comment section where you guys agree and or disagree with me on the Virginia Tech schedule in 2022. Tell me what record you think they're going to have next year and who, if anybody, they're going to lose to. Also, if you've made it this far in the video, be sure to go ahead and leave a like because it does help out the channel tremendously. Lets me know you're enjoying this kind of content. And subscribe for more college football content in the future. Like I said, I'm going to be uploading a video for every single Power 5 team and a synopsis for every single conference. So be on the lookout for that stuff coming soon. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.